Welcome. So let's talk about AI again. You didn't hear about that too many times, so it's just about time to do it. Welcome to our guest, and let's take from left to right or the other way around. Pratik has a microphone, so let's start with Pratik with a short intro.
Hello everyone, my name is Pratik Patel. I lead the developer relations team at Azul Systems, and
that's short. I'm Ryan. That's even short. I work for Sneak. Yeah, that's it.
Let's see, shorter than that.
Sneak is a really cool tool. I love it. Yeah. I'm Gabriel. I'm the founder of Neologic. We build business autopilots.
Hi, my name is Mihaela. I have an extensive experience in IT. Started as a Java developer, and right now I'm leading the AWS Cloud Division in Greenland.
If you want one shorter.
Nice.
I'm Valentin. I'm part of the IBM Romania, and I'm an application architect with focus on GenAI.
Hey, I'm I'm a solution architect and technical lead at Signum, working with artificial intelligence the past 4-5 years almost. Also studying neural networks at my doctoral school affiliation. Yeah. So I'm anytime open for a discussion about this, by the way, not only here.
Not only in the last year, right? You didn't start in November?
No, somewhere in 2017 actually.
So you actually know what you're talking about when you're talking about AI?
Not really, but trying to.
Okay, thank you, welcome everybody. I am curious, ML, artificial intelligence, it's here. It's in our systems, on our phones, it's pretty much everywhere. But now it's this wave where we're discussing and we're touching on it quite a lot. How did it change the way how you look at your daily habits, professionally and personally, in the last 1.5 years? Because there is this fear of missing out. It's the infinite scroll of trying to catch the train. Okay, let's try the other way around. You're the expert, so tell us how did it change?
I'm definitely using more ChatGPT than before.
Good.
Yeah, so regarding my daily behavior, in terms of writing code, I think this was the most impacted area in my professional life. I'm definitely using more assistant than before. It's just more productive for me to write code assisted by AI. I discovered that they are still not a senior developer level, let's say, but it's for boilerplate code it's quite useful. So
what programming language are you using?
I'm Java and Python developer.
Do you see a difference between the two of them, actually?
Between Java and Python?
When using code assistance,
yeah,
into the quality of the code that is coming up.
Yes, there is. You are asking if ChatGPT is better on Python than in Java?
I'm asking, yeah, because in my personal observation is that when you're looking at interpreted code or scripting languages like JavaScript and Python, it usually has an edge in comparison with Java, for instance.
To be honest, I'm not using that much ChatGPT for Java. I'm more proficient in Java than in Python, but I noticed ChatGPT is very good at Python, better than me, definitely.
Okay. Valentin, how about you?
Yeah, actually, also my background is a developer, using a lot in a daily task, but also we try also to provide to the client a lot of use cases in order to help them in the day-by-day work. And this is, I know, we are limited by time, it's a very complex discussion, so we are using the models. ChatGPT is very famous, but there are also some other models in the market, as probably you know. Using RAG, I don't know if you know about RAG. I see that there is a... okay. I'll do it then. Pretty much it's a life changer for developers. Will not take your jobs, or not all of them, so relax. So pretty much help me in day-by-day tasks, but also the clients are also very interested in this. And LLM and GPT, of course, it's in all the feeds regarding this.
You opened Pandora's box. You said that not only ChatGPT, you have to finger point at least another model that you use in your daily practice and how to use it.
So, what other models launched by the company I work for. It's Watsonx. There is also Llama from Meta, Bird, Gemini, and
But do you use this one?
yes, the Llama it's really good.
And how do you interact with it? Are you using Llama or what's the way how you?
No,
you
actually
get it?
we build a tool at IBM that.
Okay, so it's a company wide.
Yes, so we have this tool that connect to every model in the market or out there. Of course, there is a setting area where you can configure the model with the API, the tokens and stuff like that, and then you can just chat with every model that you have configured already. So you have a session, you spoke with GPT, you don't like the answer, let's say, okay, then let's switch it to Llama. Let's see the answer. And this is one of the coolest stuff, or one of those. There is also Ravi there, so it's a tool who help us using this kind of Gen AI.
Okay, thank you. Mihaela, how about you?
I actually want to build upon something that Vali said, that you're not going to lose your job, but you will see a transformation of everybody's role, regardless if it's a marketer, if it's a developer, or anything else. I strongly believe that AI, ML, Gen AI, and all these suites, I do put it in the same box, even though it's different in many ways. They are here to stay, so get used to that. They are here to change our lives, and I think it's wonderful and scary at the same time. Very mixed feelings, because in the wrong hands, it's definitely something that changes everyone's life, and not for the good. But in the right hands, with an ethical use of it, it's definitely helping us find new medicine, find new ways of growing plants or growing food sustainably, etc., etc. For me, what changed in my life using AI, Gen AI, was that I talk more about it, obviously. It helps in being more productive and doing mundane tasks that I don't really like doing. I'd rather have a conversation with a client than think about, I don't know, what am I going to write specifically in a certain email to someone where I just want to say, hey, we're going to start the project, that's it. But I have to make it pretty and successfully, professionally written. So I do use it as well as an assistant. We also have teams playing around in a nice way, but in a very productive client-facing way with Gen AI and with ML on the cloud. And just as we were seeing digital transformation a couple of years ago, where everything was transforming in the cloud, Gen AI is here just to augment all our experiences. So bottom line, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, and it's all mixed together, but we need to be very responsible. What I would add, just to close this thought flow, is that even though it's here to help us and to complement us, whether it's a code whisperer or co-pilot or whatever you want to call it, we should not externalize, outsource the responsibility of how we're using it. If it's giving me a snippet of code, I still need to take it with a grain of salt. I still need to test it. I still need to be aware of the security implication that I may be inserting poisonous AI in my own product. So take it with a grain of salt. It's very useful, but it just means that we need to develop more critical thinking as a skill for us as a human race.
Yeah, so I definitely use ChatGPT every day, generate all the code, I still write a lot of code. And I think the biggest upside that I've seen is the inspiration you get. I think out of 99 requests, out of 100 requests to write code, 99 are wrong. But what's interesting is the approach it takes, especially, for example, lots of times I say, okay, write me this function, this and that. And then I don't even look at the result, I write, are you sure? So it automatically rewrites. And that's kind of like a better, it's automatically better. You should try the Replit model, it's on Hugging Face. You can do it, you can now also host it on Cloudflare, distributed inference, and it's almost free. So that's pretty good. there's a big downside that I've seen with the junior developers that we hired, especially the ones using Copilot. So their attention span was low anyway, but like now they just press tab and it's like automatically written. And I would say the productivity went way down for mid-level to junior level when it comes to the pull requests that you can actually use in production. And it went way up for the seniors who already knew what they were coding. And then LLMs is just a shortcut. So you don't have to sift through Stack Overflow a million times to find, okay, other inspiration, other snippets. Oh, this guy did it like this, maybe I can think about this type of query or that type of query or whatever. So I think that's like the biggest downside is giving it to juniors. Like, they're not going to become senior until the LLM is senior. Yeah.
And what does it mean to pay attention? You just stay behind him or her, careful, or?
I haven't figured that out. We've been firing more, but
good. So you're giving trends to the market for that?
And also we put in our job posts and in our tests, we also have prompting tests now. So that's because I think now it's still like, ooh, you're using AI, that's fancy. A year or two from now is going to be, you're not using AI, like what's wrong with you? So I think we should start early, especially on the prompting skill.
How about you, Brian?
I think AI made us all lazy. No, honestly. A totally other example. Reviewing abstracts for a conference. How many abstracts I didn't see with, in the ever-alleged emerging world of, it's just ChatGPT that people copy and paste in. It made us lazy. And that is a downside of AI because it's very convincing and giving us the wrong things. Not saying that everything is wrong, like it is a very fast way of copy-pasting from Stack Overflow, but it keeps me in a job because the amount of hallucinations and security issues created by Copilot is amazing. So I think it is a great way of having less keystrokes and might be able to learn certain things or might polish certain things. But it doesn't excuse you from thinking. And that is what we developers are for. We need to think, we need to know what we're doing. We're not just, like, let me give back something else, like the Spring Initializer scaffolder. Great thing. But nowadays, juniors from university don't even know what dependency injection is anymore. They're users of a framework, and it's getting more and more and more with that. So I'm with you on that. We still need to think. We still need to be aware of what we're doing. It's just a faster way of coding. I love Copilot, but it's hallucinating as crap. So, yeah, it keeps me in a job, so I'm good. Let's use more of that.
So, I don't like to think, Brian. I want somebody else to think. So,
that's the reason why you're a VP.
So I use AI to respond to all emails and Slack messages. So if you ever email me, it's not actually me, it's AI. I'm joking. So, but one thing that hasn't been said that I find AI incredibly useful for is actually doing competitor market analysis. So I can go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever and say, give me a summary, a detailed summary of this specific product and how it fits in the marketplace and what kind of uptake it has, what revenue does this company generate, et cetera, et cetera. And so instead of spending 3 or 4 hours on Google and looking through all the different links, this isn't being recorded. Oh, it is, okay, never mind. I was going to talk shit about...
We stop now for 1 minute. So
okay, I was going to talk shit about Google and how Google search results have become garbage in the last few years because of spam, right? So it's incredibly difficult nowadays to do proper market research just using a search engine like Google. But I can go to ChatGPT or Gemini and say, hey, go and tell me about this competitor's products. And it'll give me a summary of it, and it'll include links and all that so I can follow up and make sure that it hasn't hallucinated something, first of all. And second of all, I can go deeper at that point without having to spend hours digging through links and reading articles and stuff like that. So,
I think Sander, back in October, I'm sorry I cannot pronounce his family name, he's the CTO of
Hold.
Thank you, Brian. He said he had a statement that we're moving from searching, what that Google is doing, so you're just scrolling through it to the finder, where you just define what you need to find, and then you just puts you in the right place. So I think that's one of the key takeaways, that we are shifting from this paradigm.
Funny, I just want to add one thing. Funny thing about hallucinations is it's a hallucination when you don't like it, it's creativity when you do, but it's actually the same feature.
Well, it depends. Copilot, for instance. Copilot looks at the code you already created. So it's garbage in, garbage out. Honestly, I have examples of that. Copilot is creating something that technically works, but creates me a 101 SQL injection from the start, because it's based on old code that somebody wrote years ago in a monolithic application, and it's looking like, oh, that's in line with whatever you're doing, so that's great. So we can call it creativity, but I just call it the vulnerability in that case.
So I think you touched on one of the problems was that when you're using these tools to write code for you, essentially, how do you know the code is correct unless you actually look at it, right? It helps, I think someone mentioned already, it helps with the kind of repetitive boilerplate kind of code. You still have to check it, right? But at least in the US, I don't know what the laws in Europe are, but one of the big hurdles that I see is that if you use something like that to generate your code, where did it come from and what was the license behind the original code that it generated, that it drew the generation from, right? So in the US, it's already happening. Like, if we stop talking about code for a second and talk about just news and other information, who owns the intellectual property behind these things? And what if you generate something and it's based on, let's say it takes an excerpt from a book verbatim, exactly like it is in the book. It actually doesn't belong to you because it belongs to somebody else who actually wrote that original intellectual property, whether it's code or a book or whatever it may be. So we have some legal hurdles to get through. So it's going to be a long time before that's sorted out, in my opinion.
Funny thing, we had that to solve with a customer. So the accepted solution was any piece of generated code is attributed to me as a human, and I sell it back in perpetuity to the company. So that's weird, but yeah, because what happens is LLM output has no owner. So this is the first time in history that legally there is something that exists that you cannot attribute ownership. If you go to an IDE and you write 3 lines of code, those by any law on earth are automatically yours and attributed to you unless you sign the contract with the company and it's attributed to the company. LLM output has no ownership. So all this debate about do we use private data sets? Yeah, but the output doesn't have yet ownership. So it has to be attributed to a human and the human has to attribute it to something else.
So it's no man's land for now.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why you should act on it responsibly, because it's your ownership, so it's your responsibility in using it.
Yeah, I think this is what I wanted to say. I mean, once you type that code, once you accept it using tab, right, then it's yours, right? Is it? It's like any other completion, even if it's not generated by GenAI. And now, coming back to Copilot, I just wanted to emphasize one thing. So AI is now becoming more and more like humans, right? So we have to be aware that with the rise of artificial intelligence, it's also rising the artificial stupidity, isn't it? So we cannot escape that. And it's like any technological leap. Of course, it's changing us, it's changing society, and we need to adapt. But any good thing, if it's not in the right hands or if it's not used correctly, it can be harmful, right? Let's take, I don't know, eggs, right? It helps you grow muscles? Yes, it does. Are they healthy? Yeah. What happens if you eat 8 times a day, 8 eggs a day? It's not good for your health, right? This is the same story with junior developers, that will never become probably seniors, because they are learning from an engine that is learning from them. So it's somehow a loop, but I think we need to learn more, or to focus more on how to use these tools rather than being influenced only by them. Right? That's the challenge, what I see there.
I think it doesn't bring artificial stupidity, it just enhances the natural one.
Yeah,
So it's a bicycle.
they are not incompatible.
And I would I would add here, we're talking about code, but I think we need to be aware that when you are having garbage in and you're being trained as a model, as an LLM on garbage input, like every bad thing that somebody spewed on the internet in the protected by anonymity, that is going to generate bias. And if I want something to be unbiased of ethnicity, gender, any criteria basically, you need to make sure that the content you're training your product on, it's actually curated. How do you do that? Very, very difficult. I don't think it's something that can be 100% done, and it needs a human with that critical mind, multiple humans with the critical mindset and thinking. But anything you take that has been trained on public data, it's biased. Take it as a default. That's...
Excuse me, but is there any human that is not biased, or is there anything in this unit? I mean,
I wasn't talking about bias, but when you're saying, for example, I want to have a model that is going to train on data that speaks about dinosaurs. Well, there are historic facts and findings and archaeology and studies, so it's very technical-ish, let's say. It doesn't say, I like better T-Rex or I like better pterodactyls and whatever. So this is what I mean by curated content. Of course, everybody has their own filters, experience, everybody is biased, subjective as a human. But when we're talking about content on which you're training your model, depending on what you're going to train, if you can curate that content, it gives you better quality. Less garbage in, less garbage out.
So this is why there are some techniques in RAG especially, where we are basically asking more LLMs to do the same reasoning against the same set of data. Because as humans, they can somehow, even sometimes learn from bad things, right? As humans, even from bad data, you can still learn something. That's why we need more and more models to decentralize or to distribute the responsibility and to distribute the responsibility of being biased, of taking a biased decision. Right? It's not using OpenAI GPT and take it like as a truth, right? The universal truth. You need to use more models, and this is also in human world, I would say. When you are judging someone, something, you have a jury, right? You have a committee who is judging this.
We say a lot about working in isolation. We are just, you accept the code. But we have to think that in the software development lifecycle, there are steps. And I personally think that this is just another enhancer, like just taking a proper IDE, a better IDE, and then it's a part of your whole ecosystem. It depends up to you what you use and how you use it. And I think that's one of the cases that we have to bear in mind that, okay, this dropped on our lap, we can use it, but in the end, if you have a proper tooling in place like SAST or DAST or any other stuff, they will protect you if you have already a flow. But again, garbage in, garbage out. If you have something that is wrong, if you have a leaky roof, water will still come through it, even if you put an umbrella on top of that. So, okay, the revolution started. Well, in my opinion, it's just getting started. If we look back, or you would recommend to somebody that just got started into this trip, what would you recommend to get started? Like top 3 things to do now for a safer career path. So not to be on the wrong side of the journey.
I would definitely say try these things out. Yes, go and play with ChatGPT, go and play with Copilot, but don't accept the answers as the truth. Do your research, know what it does, know what the implications are. If I wanna learn a new programming language, or I want to transpose a program from one language to another, yes, it might work, but what does it actually do? What does it implicate? What are the implications of that? And if you start to understand what it's writing, and therefore use it as a tool to enhance your learning, I think that gives us a better solution. Because in the end, we need to judge either if it's good, if it's bad, if it's hurtful or not, and go on with it. If we just accept it, then I don't know what it will end up with. So yes, try it out, but be mindful with it.
Brad, do you think programming languages will still be here in not 3 years, 5 years from now?
Absolutely, because we've seen all the things with low code, no code. That works for a finite amount of use cases, and then you have all the edge cases, and then you have but my thing needs to be super performant on this new chipset. Good luck, because everything that is what the model is based on whatever is there. If there's something new, it needs to be retrained or enhanced. So yes, a model can only grow if we as humans have new evolutions and new input in that, and then the model grows again, and then we expand that whole thing. So I think programming language will be there. It's just we will do less typing of a programming language. Maybe it will get smaller.
Or combined with some natural language?
Maybe, but natural language still is biased. Programming languages at this point, are less biased, and we'll say unbiased. But what you mean by saying something in a natural language is based on whatever your culture is, where you come from, how you raised, etc., etc. If I make exactly the same joke in Europe or in the United States, it can go horribly wrong because of cultural differences. So natural language is by default biased. So yes, and programming languages are more or less are stricter. So I think that will still be some form of programming languages.
And I actually have one example of programming language that will be here for many, many, many years, COBOL.
Yeah. But also this brings me, this discussion we spoke about coding. I think this is the first step. What I mean by that. So I go to GPT, for example, this is my, my component, my class, give me a unit test. Okay, and he gave me the unit test. I'm not impressed. I want to do more. I want to create a PR automatically from this kind of stuff. So, okay, I want to give him some, some steps. I want a unit test, create a PR, create, do something in Confluence, do something in Jira, whatever. So this is the initial phase, I think, on this step of the Gen AI, but I think things needs to be much more complex. Because if I create a unit test for a class, it's okay. But what if I want to create for an entire project? So giving a GitHub repository with 1,000 classes, this is the real deal, I think, that needs to evolve in the upcoming future.
It's all about context handling, right? Currently, this is the limitation we have in this neural models. You don't have enough context. You have 1,000 classes, right? Yeah, it's tough even for a human agent.
I think it also comes with new problems. As in, I was last week I was at a customer.
New problems, sorry.
And yeah, it comes up with new problems. As in, I was last week I was with a customer. I obviously cannot say the name of the customer, but they were saying to me like, hey, what is your company doing on AI security? It was like, what do you mean? Like, it can be on different edges. It was like, we want to use an LLM model that a client wants to search something. The LLM model comes up with some sort of query, and that query is the different database. What we do. It's like, okay, now you have an issue of prompt injection. That means that you don't know what the LLM is trained on, what it will be, because this is what will give out. So if you can poison the LLM, then we have a new attack surface. So that's like, it comes with new types of problem, and we need to face that. We need to be aware of that. I'm not saying we just need to avoid it. Just be aware of that. It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
I do have a proposal for you guys, because I think this is one of your most favorite type of tasks when developing something new. You can ask your Gen AI assistant to write the documentation for it.
Yes.
One thing, because you mentioned people who are just starting out, so I think the first step should always be to understand what it actually is. I've seen many cases where people say, ChatGPT is really bad. It's like, yeah, but your prompt is like 5 words. What is supposed to do with that? That's not going to work. And secondly, I think there's a step of disillusion, especially on the customer side, when they come in saying, okay, AI solved my problems, that's it. And then we tell them, oh, not exactly, you know, it's kind of tough. It's even hard to find business use cases that can actually go to production. That's why the production numbers are very low on LLMs. It's very tough to find the use cases, and it has many moving parts to do anything reliably. So I think the first step should always be to really understand how it works, how it picks the tokens, because they're all technical, how it takes them out, why that specific order, how does temperature influence, all of that. And then you're going to get to the step where you say, okay, so not yet. So yeah, I recommend following Andrei Carpati. He has a lot of really good explainers. He has a Substack post that actually goes through everything that LLM does from training to output. It's super, super detailed, they're very technical. That's very interesting.
And on top of what you said, besides the Substack, he has really good repo because he started a lot of movement into the inference space. He has the famous llama.c that got everybody started, and now it was adopted even in the Java space. So I think that's another extra step to understand, because in the end, prompting is one thing, but we need to integrate it also in the whole holistic aspect of our applications.
Yeah, and that actually defined a new category. He had a demo where he was running a llama model locally on a Samsung watch. So the smartest thing that you can do is pack LLMs, small LLMs into devices and get rid of that.
That's the trend, right? You need to see what's the model that you actually use. Last week in KubeCon, that's what the conclusion was, both from the CNCF side, both from Mistral, that was represented by the CTO, and also from Google. They said, okay, just take steps back and understand what you need. You start big, but then you just decrease on the number in front of the B, and see exactly what fits your case. And going back to one of the statements that you made, do you think it's some kind of automation of what we are used to do? You said that usually the prompt is like 5 words. That's what Google taught us to use, search engines. Because on search engines, what you do, you put indexing words, and you just go from the distance. Now we have to be more learn English, as it was stated by Carpati.
Yeah, and it's for me the biggest eye-opener was how bad I am at asking for things. So I was like, then when I started talking, I was like, what's going on? And then when I asked the people I work with, it's like, yeah, dude, you don't really explain anything. I was like, okay, so it's a human problem, not an LLM problem.
I think this type of model where you write 5 words and the assistant has to figure out what you want exactly, actually prepares you for upward management. I don't know if you've ever had bosses where they just drop you a mail with
you have 2 minutes.
5 words, and you have to figure out what you need to deliver by when and.
So actually we should do
I don't know. I think it has plus and minuses, but I think it's a skill that you're acquiring nevertheless. I have a topic that has not been spoken. I don't think it's very interesting or a topic that you're constantly thinking about, but clients are, and not only clients, regulators are, and that's the carbon emission on training the models. That is very, very energy.
Not only training, but it's also generating just...
Exactly. So the carbon emissions associated with AI is quite high at this moment. There are all sorts of regulation in the area of decreasing the carbon footprint and all of that. So sustainability is something that is impacted at this moment by Gen AI, not in a very positive thing, but think about this just when you're using it, that the clients being regulated and probably fined at some point if they are too unsustainable, they will care about it.
Well, I have a quick resolution to that. Basically, shut down all cryptocurrency mining and put it into AI.
I have nothing against it.
I have a resolution of that. So, yeah, you said about 5 words and stuff like that. So, what I believe that the LLMs will not take over, because I know from experience from my wife, my look is just enough. This cannot be done by LLM.
I'm sometimes surprised why people are so surprised that prompting is that important, because when we always discuss with people, we take care of how we address the question, how we discuss how our idea is detailed or not, and so on. While with LLMs, we do not act like that. And I think since we are using, and Brian emphasized very nicely that indeed natural languages are biased by default, right? So, but since we know and we are using this tool, a biased tool, by default, it's normal to be very important how you address the question. The prompt is I'm surprised that it doesn't come naturally for some users, that the prompt should be very clear, as you are discussing with a human agent actually.
Yeah, but I think you should be aware of the fact that some of the assistants, not all of them, but some of the assistants only speak English, maybe. And not everybody is native English speaker, and even me as a Romanian native speaker, I sometimes mess up the grammar or mess up the words. So it's difficult to be verbose in a language where you're not necessarily the master of. So it has to understand, to fill in the gaps and understand context. That's the expectation.
Maybe native English speakers could tell some insights. How is it people?
He's the only native speaker. I'm not. But my English is good. Oh, thank you. But what we can do in the carbon footprint is like fire all these VPs that just do 5-letter words, no offense. and all their flights, and then we settle them.
But it will get better once we have better hardware. Currently, not. I mean, there are some processors that are very adapted to this. There are some TPUs, but they are not as good as it should be. I think 5 years from now, probably the footprint will be lower.
And to that, what's very funny is how, if anybody remembers how big ESG was before AI, and then dollar signs appeared, and all of a sudden ESG is kind of like somewhere in the background, and everybody's like, yeah, compute's going to get better, and it will get better. But like, well, you're seeing dollar signs, so that's good.
They are planning to move to Mars.
We are at time, so let's have a conclusion. What's the next step that you recommend for younger people or more experienced people to take in the next period? Brian, you have the microphone. Let's start from here.
Oh God, now I have to come up with a conclusion. Again, play with it, use it, but don't stop thinking and know what you're doing, because the code monkeys I think are done. As in, we can automate that away with anything, like some regular things, but also LLMs can help with that. But if you create more expertise in certain things, then you're more valuable, because we need to make sure that whatever LLMs are or AI is creating is actually what we need and what we want. So I think general expertise is needed, and we don't need to stop thinking. That is our job. Less typing, more thinking.
Great. How about the attack surface? How does it increase? Now we have to be social engineers into convincing?
Yes, but everything that comes from an LLM and it comes into a system and we automatically use that, we need to just see that as any other uncertified or third-party input that can be vulnerable. So we should treat it as that. As convincing as an LLM can be, we should treat it as third-party input that can be vulnerable. If we take that to the limit, I think it's just another piece of input.
So critical thinking is important.
Critical thinking is essential.
Pratik?
Yeah, so I use various different things like ChatGPT for lots of different things. Coding, like has been talked about here. I talked about using it for market analysis, so I don't have to spend hours and hours Googling. I was joking about the email, responding to emails and Slack messages automatically, but actually I'm not joking. I'd love to have that so that I could do, instead of doing menial tasks or instead of responses, somebody else or something else does it for me. But I think one thing that we haven't talked about, we've been focused around, how can we use Copilot or whatever, these things to help us code and be better software engineers. One of the things that I'm thinking a lot about right now when it comes to AI is how can I use it to, number one, obviously do things better and faster, but how can I use it to do disruption in the business world? So I'll give you an example, okay? So does Romania have OpenTable? OpenTable is like a website where you can go and like book a table in a restaurant, right? You have that here?
No, but we have something similar.
Alternatives.
Yeah, so it's something similar, right? So now you think about something like OpenTable, that you go to this website and you can book a whole bunch of different restaurants, right? So they obviously take a cut or something, they have a business model around it. But now with AI, if I could train an AI model and just say, go find all the restaurants in Romania, right? Again, I'm not doing this automatically, or I'm not doing this manually. I'm saying to some kind of AI, go find all the restaurants in Bucharest and come up with an API interface for me to book directly through their website a table at the specific restaurant. Now all of a sudden, a company like OpenTable, is it obsolete, right? Do I need this? I can just literally disrupt this massive company's business model by using an AI to go and scrape websites and directly book tables for me on my own website. And then I can launch a competitor probably within weeks or maybe even days. Because I don't have to do anything really. I don't have to do heavy lifting.
It's something that was on my mind with the last couple of months. It's about, do we really need UIs anymore? Like, it's another way of interacting, so another way of doing user experience, because, I don't know, you move an executive, as we like to pull their legs now, from one company to another, and he's used to a given system. So he has all the knowledge to ask all the proper questions, but he doesn't know the system. But now he can just go and ask for the report or all the other details. So that's the point where we have to see whether we have to think outside of the box. So.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Do we, and to take that to at the next level, do we really even need APIs anymore? Right? Do we need to, as developers, do we need to write APIs? Okay, so these are the kinds of questions I'm asking myself right now about these kinds of things.
Funny that you mentioned that. Actually, Google already did that in the US. It happened to me. I was searching for wine bars. So then on Google Maps, I pressed book on 3 of them. Google called them. The AI called them, talked to the restaurants, found the bookings, called me back and said, hey, I have 2 bookings for you. Which one do you want? That one. And then it called back the restaurant. And then I got my booking confirmation, and it already put it in Google Maps to go there. Nice. So, yeah.
Did the AI drink instead of you?
No, that would be fun. One thing, like as a conclusion, you gotta be really good at prompting and try to do that with your coworkers. Try to prompt them, see how that works. So, because if you become really good at prompting, that's like the one skill that's gonna matter over the next couple of years. We got models every other day. Some are weird, some are just like big mistakes. Others are better. That doesn't matter. But the one constant that does not change is that if a year ago it would have been like this black box, how do I train something? Right now you drop CSVs into Azure and you hit train. So it's going to hit exactly the same curve. What's not going to change is the output is going to be closer to your input than like incrementally closer to your input. Every 1% increment is going to be 100% the effort and cost for the person building the model, yes, but that's not really your problem. And also, yeah, try to prompt more humans. First of all, it's fun, and secondly, it also shows you how good they are with AI. Did you just take what I give you and put it in AI? If not, there's something wrong there, like we need to work more on it.
Yeah, and if the AI starts drinking wine, we're in big trouble.
Back to your question regarding what's the future. So yeah, as Brian said, try to handle with care. But I think this also will bring some new job roles. I don't know, perhaps prompt engineer, LLM fine tuner, stuff like that. So I think we'll have a lot of new things that will come, and hopefully all of them are good.
I don't know if maybe some of you are way too young for that movie, but maybe you have seen it. But do you remember the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
I don't want to be in that movie. Please do your best to enhance your education while leveraging every available tool there. I think it can help you learn what you want to do, learn more about a topic of your interest without digging days and nights and months through the internet or the libraries. That's definitely a faster ramp up, but do handle with care, and I think that was the message all across this panel. do your due diligence. Your critical thinking is very important. It makes it less possible for conspiracy theorists to leverage models like Sora. Have you seen Sora? Have you seen what it can do? It is freaking fucking scary. Sorry for the freaking word. It is very scary. I mean, at least for me. But at the same time, there is an endless possibility on how to make our world better, our lives better. So it just needs to be used ethically, responsibly, and I don't know, have fun with it.
I think software development was always very challenging environment, very dynamic industry, and I believe now things are moving even faster. So the only way to stay alive, let's say, is to be adaptable. If you do not do that, your competitors will do it. So the only way to be adaptable and to keep the pace with all the changes, I think, is by learning. Even if we have now a lot of tools that are assisting us, we can still leverage their power, and we can learn a lot of new things and even faster. I think this is the key: learning continuously and practicing, especially for developers. Maybe in all industries, in all occupations, but more than ever, probably in software development now, it's our turn to have a technological leap, because we created a lot of technological leaps in the past decades, but now even software development itself is disrupted. So you need to.
So we auto disrupted us, right?
Exactly. And
so as a conclusion, and everything that we all spoke, what my feeling is that we have to step up our game from code monkeys, as we mentioned, to people that really understand the industry. A couple of years back, I was talking about the software developer that really understands the product developer that understands it from front end to back end and understands everything that's happening there. So we should think in terms of ROI and what's the outcome and what's the best thing for the business. And that's I think the purpose of transforming it and really understanding what you ask. Because in the end, sooner or later, programming languages will not be needed because you can just go to the cloud, to the native stuff. So I think we have to be curious, we have to experiment and be cautious with what we do, because now we have a bigger hammer, so we have to be careful with how small is the nail that we're trying to tap.
I think we have only two options, either being replaced or either being pioneers. So it's up to everyone, what's your choice.
Thank you, good luck with your experiments, and have a nice weekend.